Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance. If you're a subscriber, we're now going straight into Week at Hibs. So, John, I'll come to you first. What story do you remember what we talked about? What 3 stories we were going to pick?
Yes.
Which one do you want to kick off with?
Can we kick off with Miller and Boyle coming back?
Yes.
And,
right.
Yep, they're back.
No,
what was the next
ahead.
story?
Go ahead.
So
can we talk about, how much does their objective improvement at the Hibs side last night demonstrate how much we missed them and how much pressure that put the Hibs side and subsequently Nick Montgomery under for the last 6 weeks?
Do you want to take that, Colin?
They were here for the derby though, eh? They were here before. Like they were part of the decline that started before they went away.
Mm-hmm.
They did make the team better though last night. There's no doubt about it. But then it's just more experience there, isn't there? And teams are we've seen it. Eh? Teams have been lining up, going right. Just pin the right hand side or the left hand side for their point of view. Whereas last night they would have thought, oh, that's him with the mad eyes. Get what I mean? And so he'll get out in a fight with us. So they're probably no bothered. It just looked stronger, eh? But then it could have been the midfield being more. It's a team game, eh? You know what I mean? The midfield might have been being tighter, maybe helped the right hand side of the pitch, and it's just coincidence that they two have came back.
Are you saying then that there's several factors that impact the performance of a football team?
Yes.
Amazing. Do you know what I was interested about to see, right? So when the team was announced and Miller was in it, there was obviously the way that Australia got knocked out of the Asian Cup was, they were 1-0 up, got an injury time. Miller gets subbed on, almost immediately gives away a penalty, which lets it was South Korea. South Korea.
Almost causing an international incident.
I know. In North Korea, it was them. Like they reported, it was them that won the game.
Yeah,
in
they won
North Korea.
They've won
the whole thing. Twice. So South Korea gets straight back into the game thanks to Miller giving away the penalty. He then gives away a free kick, which South Korea scored from to win the game.
Oh,
so Miller was absolutely vilified in Australia. Right, there was. He was slaughtered on the TV. I have a friend who sent me some sort of video clips of the pundits, and they were hammering him. The reaction in the Australian press was really negative to him. And I was kind of worried a wee bit that he might have like a bit of a hangover for that. Like he comes back into the club, things aren't already great at Hibs. So Andy's up against probably one of the hardest opponents in Maeda, who just runs you and runs you and runs you. It's like a difficult game for him. So I was a bit sort of curious as to how he would cope with it, but I thought he was really good last night. John, what did you make of his performance?
His performance was. Do you know, it's what you've come to expect for Lewis Miller. Like I know that, like Colin mentioned there, like the start of the decline, and I was going to ask him when he thought when the start of the decline actually happened. But there was definitely a period where, maybe even from as early as the Dundee game where he got himself sent off. He'd started, so if you remember when he came in, described him as being athletic but a bit raw, but his progress has been kind of on an upward curve. I think since the Dundee game, perhaps, there was that little bit of a dip in some of his performances. But last night's performance, I definitely thought was more sort of peak than trough, if you understand. So if you can follow the analogy that I'm going with. So I hopefully after his Asian Cup experience and after his experience at Hibs, that's going to give him a little bit of confidence in his game going forward.
16th of December.
Was that when the decline started, Colin?
That's when we got beat for St
What
Johnstone.
year? I was going to say like
1875. No, but it was we got beat in St Johnstone up there, and then it was Hearts, and then it was the break, and then it was everything that's happened since.
It's grim. That St Johnstone game was grim as well. Probably
Mhm.
the St Mirren game being awful. The St Johnstone one was down there as well. Um, there was weirdly quite a lot of folk seem to take quite a bit of delight in Miller doing badly in Australia, which I just couldn't get my head around.
Man's like
Aye, and
weird,
there was a and it's terrible because I can't remember who tweeted, but we were sort of quoted in a tweet or that replied to us or I might have quoted her. And I'm really sorry if you listen, and I've forgotten to give you your name to give you the credit. But it was like pretty much saying like if it's one of our players, really you want to wrap your arms around them. Do you know, like in times of adversity, you support your own, and you kind of stick up for them, and you want to do them well rather than sticking the boot in. And I thought it to me that always just seems like an obvious thing to do. And I think actually kind of that view got a bit of traction online, and we saw a wee bit less of the criticism for him. I just thought it was like a weird thing. We had a bit of chat on the group chats about Kim, you're not really that bothered about Australia doing well. It's better for Hibs if the two players are back, and you've got that sort of you want the players to do well individually, but not really bothered how their country does. And I totally get that. I always feel quite proud when Hibs have got players playing somewhere else. So it's even like the John McGinn thing. I mean, you keep an eye on Aston Villa because John McGinn plays for them, and you've still got that wee bit of pride that he used to be a Hibs player. It's not just like a personal thing. I just didn't get why folk take joy in somebody doing badly when they're
Nah,
one of their players.
it
I
happens all the
think
time.
is it maybe a sense of I told you so? Because
Maybe.
one of the things that we suffer from, in fact, probably not just Hibs, but probably most sides, there's the people that say, "See, I've been saying since day one," kind
Aye,
of thing.
yep,
So when someone like let's say another representing his international side gives away a free kick, see, I told you so. I've been saying that since day one
aye,
because they
Aye.
were
I agree
better.
with that. That's what it is. That is what it is.
I mean, I get that kind of was entitled to an opinion. I just thought it's sort of counterintuitive to me. But it was really nice to see so many people then sort of start tweeting support for the boy. And that's good. You
Mind
like,
it worked for Rocky for a while as well. Kensal came in and done it for
aye,
Rocky because everybody was hammering him, and
that's
then
right.
Kensal gave it the sub story, and everybody kind of got behind him a bit.
Aye.
See, you calling it a sub story feels like damning with faint
There's a wee
praise.
bit X Factor, eh? There's a wee bit X Factor. And my granny died, kid.
Oh,
Like,
always, yeah. Just
vote
did
for
this.
me, vote for me.
But
It's like,
why do we not do this for every player? So like the one that's getting the most stick now is probably Levitt, and he's got his goal, but it's like we heard it for one of the listeners, and I didn't mean this to be critical of the listener. It's more that sort of is it an unconscious criticism? We go right, great goal, but actually everything else was shit. Like it's fucking like the boys out there in front of what
Uh,
17,000 people, and the large majority of them are going, "You're fucking shit."
it is funny though, eh? Like how folk you get picked on because it was like, well, they can't get Stevenson and Hanlon anymore. So who we going for? And Neil's been getting a bit of criticism recently as
us.
well. The two of them were starting to get the blame for almost for the formation and them failing in it. So they two were getting a bit of the criticism, but it just goes in. What annoys me about it is folk they're willing to change their mind. Like that Neo critique, right? Fine, he wasn't playing well, but he was good before that. He was good last season. He was good last night. But what will happen is that'll lie dormant now till he's a bad game again, and then it'll come out again.
Aye.
And it's like, see, I says he was shite. I says he was shite in January. And you think, it's fucking April now. Like, where were you in February and March? Okay, well, I
Aye.
mean, and that's what
Yeah.
it's like. They'll not let it go, and you think, but the evidence suggests that you're maybe not right. He's had a bad game now and again, or he's had a bad bit of form, but it doesn't. I think my folk aren't willing to change their mind. They support the team, but they didn't support the players, and then other ones get fucking like we were murder, eh? Like Will Fish makes mistakes all the time, but it's always Hanlon or Rocky or Triantis that gets the blame.
Aye. It is a funny thing. And I think there's like a difference in between criticism. Like, because there's no problem with folks saying what they see. like you could say he's had a rubbish game, and obviously like we do it, like that's what like our podcast is about. That can we be critical of players and praise players and all the rest of it. But sometimes it just feels like a proper like personal attack on. Anyway, right, that sounds a bit preachy. That's not really what this is about. Next news story. So, right, Colin, you get to pick this one. You can either have the accounts or you can have the bust up at training.
I remembered what they both were. You didn't need to remind me
right.
because I was sitting thinking,
maybe like a smart ass Scotland.
I can only remember the accounts, and I've been sitting raking about on my phone trying to remember the other topic, and I remembered it was the battle, and I thought, well, let's go for the argument in the the conference room or whatever HTC. So it's been reported, I think, by Boyle mentioned it in an interview, just saying he kept quiet, didn't he, because he wasn't there, and was it Montgomery maybe said it in an interview as well? So
Monty.
yeah. So what's your thoughts? Good thing, John.
It's interesting that I found it interesting anyway that it came out because we'd had the messages going around on WhatsApp, and it was on the forums that there'd been a big bust up. Seemingly Montgomery was only focused on the second half. Players were going apeshit, all that sort of stuff. So it seemed like to begin with, I thought, oh, that sounds like bullshit. And then it turns out there's actually a bit of truth in it. And I was curious to know or to try and understand why it had come out in the press, because it seemed like that's something that could maybe have been kept in-house. I don't know whether it was something that was kind of no stage managed, but kind of allowed to be given to the press to go, we are actually, we are actually invested in trying to make the club better. But
I hadn't thought of that, John. You know what? I'm not even cynical enough for that. Believe that.
I think even for the other point of view that they, so to go back to your point about like Ben Kensel and Bushiri, now I'm actually questioning myself. I'm going, did they actually have a bust up at all? Like if I'm suggesting that it was stage managed, is it all being stage managed to say, well, like it happened? Because Martin Boyle, like he was saying, I can't imagine for a second that he's no sat in that dressing room or conference room sitting there all quiet, like he's not giving someone the eyes, like, oh fuck, here we go.
You would be loving it, Eric, if you come into that and you go, this is fuck all day with me, but this is going to be dynamite today. Like
I'm back now.
Training that day.
You can all calm down. I'm back now. I'll fucking sort it.
It's funny how these things like how you make a really good point, John. Where like has it been leaked out because the team were slaughtered on by us as well for Saturday for the lack of effort, lack of passion. And actually, it was one of the. If I was to cling on to something for Saturday, it was probably Joe Newell's interview after it because he looked like he was spitting feathers, like absolutely fucking fizzing at the team, and he questioned the team's fight and work rate, which players didn't normally do. Like sort of famously, that was what got Roy Keane kicked out of Man United, wasn't it? Because he went public and hammered his teammates. But Joe Newell did it. And some of the rumours that had come out online, like we were seeing in the WhatsApp groups early doors, was that Newell was one of the main instigators of sort of the bust up in training. So we talk about leadership and who the leaders and the ones that are rattling the rest of the team. Does the fact that they've had a bit of a rammy reflect that we probably do have some in the dressing room?
I think so. Folk willing to say their piece anyway. I mean, I like that after the game, I didn't really watch the interview because I'm like, but that he's came across as pissed off like that and annoyed and maybe calling, I think if he called individuals out, but he called the team out or whatever. And I like that. That Finn Russell, I know it's rugby again, but he done that on Saturday straight after the whistle as well. He says players weren't listening. Some of them listening, we're telling them to carry on doing it. We won the game, but we nearly lost a fucking unassailable lead, again 27-0 to 27-26. But and he just called it out in the interview, and folk were saying, well, sometimes you keep that for the dressing room. But actually, most folk went, fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like say, why no? Like all that, keep it in the dressing room shite. Just fucking. If something needs called out, call it out. You maybe didn't want to like bully somebody or like whatever you want to call it, pick an individual out. But if you're picking an area of the park out or a specific thing, I think there's something wrong with it. And because we're all sitting there, most of us are stupid. Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say the majority. I was going to say the minority.
One
of them are stupid. But it's like, it's folk know, like, folk have been complaining about stuff that a lot of it's, I think, true, like, not enough men in midfield or not enough pace, too slow, need midfielders that can run about, and then you see the difference. So we're not daft, we're not fucking stupid. And just say it. Like, just be honest. Oh, that's fucking, oh, keep that in the dressing room. It's just a lot of shite.
Would it be wrong to speculate as to which players were pulling up others and what they were pulling them up for?
I would encourage it, John. I absolutely think you've got. I'd happily dedicate the next minute of the episode to you speculating on who did what and said what to who.
I asked the question, I put it out to you two, so
I bet.
go nuts.
I wonder how it went, like schoolboy stuff, like, and you never passed me the ball. I was shouting on it and everything.
Aye.
Getting you're
Aye,
greedy.
so that's the thing, like, and this is part of the discussion. Like, all we can do is speculate unless we actually get to speak to one of the players to find what was said.
They'll never tell you, John.
No, but I'd love, because we've never
room.
played the game, because we are those like curious idiots, like the players from very, very far away. That's where we'd love to be on the pitch. But I don't know how I would react if someone was to pull me up and say, "You're fucking lazy. You're fucking shit. You never did this. You never did that." But how do players communicate to one another and critique each other and find a positive outcome to a meeting like that?
I didn't care that. I think you would just get.
It's just square goals.
No, that's shite, and like it or fucking lump it. Like, that's crap. Look, that's shite. You do that all the time. It's fucking lazy. You need to cut that out. I genuinely do. It's like that.
I think it's easier if they're watching the game at the same time. Do you know, if they're going through an analysis? Because I mean, the one that sticks out probably for everybody is the one where kind of Yuan got a pass that was just slightly to the right of him, and rather than moving to his right, he just went, "Oh, I'm fucking no gone for it," and watched it turn the to play. If you're watching that, if you're the person that's passed the ball, you go, "You fucking could have got that, Ken." And
you make me look fucking stupid. You make me look shite.
And I suppose it can.
Well, worse than that, and I think this maybe goes back to the leadership thing, is it's not about you made me look shite. It's that you fucked the team.
Aye.
By not just, sorry, it's not fair to say that you fucked the team because of that one instance, but there will be, I suspect, repeated instances like that all over the park with a number of players, and that'll be the problem. So if you've got a leader in there pulling folk up about it, that's got to be a good thing.
And I think the other thing that it was, and this is like speculation, I don't think it's necessarily a coincidence that we saw a change of shape last night on the back of it as well. Because I think if I'm Joe Newell or Dylan Levitt in particular, I'm having words with the gaffer at some point and saying, by the way, every fucking week we're getting it tight for them in the stand, because we're getting hammered every single week through the midfield. You need to do something about it because this isn't fair. And I wouldn't be surprised if that conversation didn't come up, and was partly responsible for the change of shape. And you would give Montgomery credit for listening and changing it. But I think that's a weak thing to do. I think that's like a good thing to do.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I was thinking about what Colin was saying about, you're making me work too hard. I need help.
Well, I suppose it does feel like a Hail Mary, though, doesn't it? It's like that's the last throw of the dice as you're having the dressing room fight, and it like if it gets to that stage, it'll either cure or kill you, and you'll see whether it's sustained. Like it definitely looked like it's although we lost last night, it does look like it cured some of the issues that we were having. It needs to be sustained, though, otherwise you can't do them every week. Like it loses impact, and what happens is you just lose the well, can lose the dressing room, don't mean like that, but you lose the bonds that are built up in the dressing room between the players because they can't be arguing all the time. It doesn't work. Right, last thing was the accounts that came out. So the invitation went out to shareholders for the AGM, which is on the 27th of February. The accounts along with it were pretty grim reading. I think it was like a near £4 million loss, operating loss, 81% wages to turnover, nearly £6 million debt. They did sort of say that they'd sorted it out since then, but John, what what did you think when you sort of saw the headlines?
Well, to be fair, I never saw the headlines straight away. I got sent the PDF of the accounts, and I'm not, as Colin has pointed out on numerous occasions, I'm not mathematically minded. But I did see, I think the balance sheet, the two things that stuck out for me were, was it cash reserves? We had 5 million, now it's 2 million.
Yeah,
And I went, well, we've lost some money, but we've still got 2 million in the bank. That seems reasonable. And then I saw a tweet earlier the day talking about Kensal uh, talking about the accounts. So I went away and I was like, oh, I never saw that
yeah,
anywhere. I never saw it in the Observer. It was on Sky Sports. And I know that Kensal, I don't know if you'd call it, well, I think he divides opinion. Some folk think he
hmm
does a really good job for the club. Other people think that he's, well, they have their opinions about him that are less positive. But the way that he described it has been about context and timing, and then with regards to the accounts, so it's saying it doesn't take into account the European money, for example, but it did reflect poor performance in domestic competition.
hmm
Like I thought he was fairly honest about the accounts. The bit that was interesting for that Sky interview was that he guaranteed, in addition to, so he guaranteed, if I picked that up properly, the accounts next year will look healthier, and the Black Knight Group's involvement will mean greater turnover. Correct me if I'm wrong. Greater money coming through the
yeah.
doors, greater profit, etc. So that gave me reason for optimism, but the cynic in me thinks that's a pretty hefty guarantee.
Colin, it's consecutive years losses. It's
Mhm.
no like on the face of it, that's no a good trend or a healthy trend for a club. The um, resolutions that they want passed at the AGM, which relate to the Black Knight investment, involve the Gordons effectively writing off that debt, 5.75 million, I think it was. I say write it off, they're going to convert it to equity. It's just a debt for equity thing, which will take it off the balance sheet, preserves their shareholding, and then obviously they'll allow new shares to be issued or sold to Black Knight, which will bring money into the football club. How worried would you be about a trend where we're losing money to that extent over a couple of seasons?
It's worrying because at some point you're going to be left. There's not going to be a write off. They're going to run out of money, or nobody willing to do it, or sell up, or whatever it might be. So I don't want to be losing too much, but I didn't mind losing a wee bit. What if we were successful? We wouldn't be concerned about this. It's because we've been shite, but also possibly because we've been shite, the debt's worse because we're paying off fucking managers every 6 months.
Aye.
So and then revamping the squad and having a major overhaul in every window, like get 10 players in and all that. So that all costs money. But if we could get a settled manager, a settled squad that you're only adding to and making better, then the losses will hopefully not be as big. And because we're doing better, the turnover will go up because more people are coming, more people are buying things, and all the
Further in
stuff
the
that goes
cups,
with it.
etc.
So
Yeah.
that 81% drops to a different
Mhm.
percentage, even though the wages might stay the same because we're bringing more money in. So I think it's a bit of a knock-on effect of us being shite and trying to not be shite that's cost us this rather than anything else. But if we continue to be shite, it's worrying.
That was certainly Kenzel's taken it. Like you sort of paraphrased what he said, Colin, to
Did I?
be fair.
I've not
Aye,
seen it.
like
I've not seen it.
he said it was largely down to us no meeting our sporting targets and pinpointing getting knocked out of the League Cup and the Scottish Cup at the first round that we entered them. So the group stages of the League Cup, and then it was Hearts that knocked us out of the Scottish Cup. I think what it shows you, I mean, I think there'll be some twitchy arses this season if they're looking at it and they're sort of projecting that they're going to have record turnover. That's sort of what Kensal was hinting at. I think he said they'd put £1 million on the club controlled income um, that we would expect to see in the next accounts. But we're sitting bottom six at the moment. If we didn't get so when we got knocked out the cups, we still finished in the top six. We've got a fifth place and we've got Europe, which helped, or we'll see the benefit of in the next accounts. If we didn't get top six, we're fucking, we've got a semi final. But if you've not got European football, and if you didn't get top six, and it means there's huge pressure really on Montgomery for for the cup run, because really Hibs' best chance of like a properly successful financial season would be to win the cup now. Not just for the fact you've got the cup run, but then your group stages European football, and that probably if they can achieve that, probably resolves all the issues that they've got. But it's a big ask, isn't it, to go and say, right, well, your fucking hopes are that you win the cup and see everything right, because I'm not convinced we're on track to get European football for our league performances, or even top six, really, if I'm being honest. That would be it'd be hugely problematic, and I can't imagine that's the sort of footing that Foley and that would be wanting to get off on with the club. So a lot of work to be done, and probably not the most impressive set of accounts, although with that caveat that Hibs do, or Kensal was certainly confident that wages to turnover are sitting back at 65% now, and they've got that income sorted out. So I suppose we'll see in the fullness of time. Right, we're out of time. Thanks very much for subscribing. If you're listening to this week, if you're listening to it next week, go and subscribe and you'll get us a bit earlier. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.